who's ever on the line, college students, first year students, sophomores, juniors, seniors, all of the techniques and skills that we talk about in our session, they can be used for all grades, all levels. So I want to welcome all of you college students to our Sunday evening session, the first year college experience. Also, high school students, juniors and seniors in particular, we speak to you in these sessions as well. So we give you an opportunity to develop some skills that we believe will be helpful for you. You can go out and get the book, okay? It's geared towards the first year college experience, student experience. But what we talk about in this session, given the current condition and the state of affairs in our country with COVID-19 and the rise and spike and sometimes out of control statistics that we're hearing, and colleges and universities trying to be creative with their how they're going to function and lead their semester. I want to encourage you that this session will speak to both scenarios. If you're at home, okay, and you're doing some type of distant learning, all right, and we'll also speak to if you're on campus, okay. I know that one of the models is that colleges are going to go to or have gone to an 8-block system where they'll have half of the students in class for the first 8 weeks, and then while they're in class, the other students will be remote learners, and then they'll swap that out so that those who were in class in the beginning, now you become a remote learner, and the remote learners will now become in-class learners. So there's a lot of different designs out there, okay? But what I hope to speak to is that you can be successful in both, okay? I don't want you to go without. So if you have time, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, grab the book. It's here. We're here every Sunday, 6 p.m. We got 3 more sessions, okay? It might extend to 4 because next week we have a special guest who's going to talk specifically to high school students and from a remote learning experience. And he's going to share with you his methods and strategies on what has helped him to stay and become successful during this season of COVID and remote learning and distance learning, etc. So I'm excited about next week. But here's my contact information. If you want to contact me, I will be doing tutoring and walking with students throughout the semesters. Parents, if you know your student, especially if they're leaving for the first time, and we got this unconventional, non-traditional way of learning that we're approaching, and you're a little afraid or have some apprehensions, I highly recommend and suggest to you that you contact me so that I can walk with your student as their personal tutor throughout the semester, all right? This will be helpful. All right, remember, this is week 3, okay? And I'm just condensing my book into a 6-week course. But here are the topics that we're going to look at today. All right, so we've done a lot of preliminary work. Okay, what I have found for those who are joining us for the first time in my 20 years experience of working in higher ed at 3 different institutions, what I have learned is that students who do the work in advance are often more prepared to address, to conform to be successful with the rigor of the college experience, especially for first year students. Okay? So we're going to talk about setting and managing goals. Okay? This takes place before you even land on campus. Okay? If you go back on Facebook and look at our first 2 sessions, those sessions is a lot of legwork before we even arrive on campus. The work that I'm talking to you about now is right now work that we must do. There's no escaping this work that we must do. So the blueprint for setting and managing goals. First, set a goal. If you got 4 classes this semester, 5 classes this fall semester, set an academic goal for each course. That is a letter grade for each course. Okay? If you're in high school, and this doesn't matter if you're a remote learner or on campus, if you're at home in high school or you're in high school, set a goal for the classes that you have. For each class, set a letter grade goal. Okay? Now, I teach set a goal and work backwards. And the reason why I teach work backwards, it gives you an opportunity to psychologically think about any obstacle that could come up in your life as you pursue your goal. So we look backwards and say, this can happen. Here's a hypothetical, this can happen. Here's a hypothetical, this can happen. Okay? So when you walk back your goal and you do the hypothetical, and people say, well, that's like kind of paranoid. No, things happen in life. All right? And so I want you to walk backwards. What could happen, a hypothetical situation, what could happen that would derail you from reaching your academic goal? When you do that, now as you go forward from the point here, going forward, now as you go forward, you develop action strategies that will be able to address or compete with those hypotheticals. So I'm going to say it again. You establish the goal and you think backwards. You do hypotheticals of what could go wrong, what could be a hiccup. I didn't finish a paper. I got an F on a quiz. Think the hypotheticals, anything that would serve as an obstacle of you reaching your goal. When you work backwards, when you get to this point here, now you develop action strategies, not only positive action strategies, but now you have these hypotheticals on your paper, and now you can develop action strategies that actually will serve as pillows or comforts or cushion to help soften the blow of what may happen. Okay? So I want you to develop action strategies with hypotheticals in mind. All right? Some of you may say, I don't like that. That's kind of pessimistic. That's not really forward thinking and not positive enough for you. Great. Go with your method. But I'm telling you, when you develop action strategies, here's the one thing that throws students off. Things come up during the semester that they were not ready for. And I'm going to give you an example. Everybody was in school in January. All of a sudden, college students were sent home. Grades K through 12, remote learners. Some people testing positive, panic all around. And there are a lot of students who did not do well. Why? The adjustment was beyond their control. They didn't predict. They wasn't ready to manage the situation. I'm saying to you, given COVID-19 and the uncontrollable manner in which it is spreading and impacting our education, I'm trying to prepare you mentally to say, whatever happens, my goal stays intact and my action strategies are ready for any adjustment I need to make, whether I'm on campus or I'm at home. Okay? Now, whether you're on campus, in school, or at home, you have to identify resources that you need to be successful. Okay? Identify resources that you need to be successful. What do I mean? If you need some coaching around you academically, find an academic coach to help you out. If you need the support of your family to be successful, put that in place. If you need the support of your friends, put that in place. If you don't do well at home and you were planning on leaving and now you're finding out you're not leaving, you're staying home, okay? You got to put some comforts in place to help you, okay, to be successful. It's kind of like your personal response team. A personal response team. Write that down if you're listening. Personal response team. In the event that something happens, these are the people you can text and call who have committed willingly to serve on your personal response team to help you to migrate and navigate life through COVID-19, through the adjustments. I'll be honest with you, folks. We may arrive on campus in August and be back home by September. But the semester has to go on. So we have to be ready for this non-traditional academic experience, okay? You have to also develop a timeline. If you're going to get an A in biology, you have to develop a timeline on what you're going to do, what benchmarks are you going to achieve, and how you're going to achieve them. And remember, I'm giving you a summary of something that will take hours to develop, because you're doing a goal setting exercise for each class. For each class. Also, journal your progress. Take time to journal your progress. Be harsh on yourself, and I say that because we need to be honest with ourselves. I didn't get out of bed to go to class. I didn't wake up at home. Home is not good for me. I sleep in, and I've been doing it all summer. Now it's school and I'm having it from home. Now I got to change behaviors. I got to change habits. You need to be able to journal. Every night, journal. Just write down how your academic day, did you have success? At the end of your journal, put a plus or a minus. Plus, I had a great day. Minus, I can do better. That's a sign of the underdevelopment piece. I can work harder to do better. So we're going to journal every night. Okay, get you a little $1 journal book from the dollar store, and we're going to journal. And we're going to talk about our experience. Okay? This is the time where we have to get what's inside of us out. You can no longer hold on to what you're experiencing and what your family is experiencing. Why? It's too much right now. So we all need some support. Now, when you establish a goal, and let's say your goal was an A in biology, but it looks like your trajectory, because you didn't do well on a test, look like you're going to land at about a B. If you're looking ahead and you've done this exercise, now you make the necessary adjustments to make sure now I land at the B. See, here's what happens in college. Students come into my office and they say, I was hoping to have a great semester. I wanted a 4.0, all A's. And that's not happening right now. Okay, so what's your grades, I would say? Well, I got a B, a C, a A, and a D. Okay, not a problem. We are far from a 4 point, okay? We have some work to do. Make the necessary adjustments to get as close as you can to your original goal. What students tend to do is, because they're not on the right trajectory or the same trajectory where they started the semester, they begin to tank. Don't tank. Don't give up. Simply say, I need to make some adjustments so I can land in the closest place. My uncle used to say, you shoot for the stars and say hello to the moon, right? Okay? Shoot to the stars. Stars are awesome. On your way to the stars, say hello to the moon. What I'm trying to simply say to is, the goal was an A, but if you have to land at a B, land at the B. Make it a hard B, a B plus. Okay? You can't give up on yourself. You have to be prepared to make adjustments. The life that we're living in, parents, people who work, people who don't work, people in school, all levels, K through 12, college, master's, and doctoral programs, all in the same situation. Corporate America in the same situation. Politicians in the same situation. Everyone has to be ready to make adjustments. And the most successful people during COVID-19 will be those individuals who are prepared to make adjustments. Okay? Now, identify an accountability partner. Accountability partner may not be a friend. Because a friend does not just sign off on something. Accountability partners say, hey, I'm going to enter in with you. I'm going to enter in with you. I'm going to walk with you. I got stuff to do, but I'm also going to take the time to walk with you. Accountability partner is not somebody that you can just give a report to and they say that's great. No. Accountability partner, I want you to be, this person needs to be more engaged. So you have to pick them carefully as someone that's really going to hold your feet to the fire. All right. Lastly, celebrate. Celebrate. Have fun with this thing. A lot of colleges are going to this 8. Okay. And then you can celebrate. All right. Some people do it at midterms. Some people go out. Some people do it weekly, on a weekly basis. So they work hard, get their 30 to 35 hours of studying. Then they go say, hey, we're going to go shopping. Hey, we're going to go out to eat. Okay? Hey, I'm going to get that new ice cream I've been wanting, I seen in the window the other day. Treat yourself. Celebrate. All right? Very important. Again, in summary, I have a goal. I work backwards looking at my hypotheticals. What could happen to disrupt or hinder me from achieving an A in biology? Once I work backwards, then I develop action strategies that will address the hypotheticals. Okay? And if you need help with that, you just ask for help. Okay? Then we're going to identify the resources we need. The resources will speak to your academic progress as well as the hypotheticals of what could go wrong. So if you're in a relationship and you have a distance relationship, okay? You work backwards and maybe one of your hypotheticals is a breakup in the relationship, okay? So as you set your action strategies, maybe you write down as one of your action strategies is to have a confidant, whether it's an advisor, a life coach, a mentor, a family member, in place just in the event that the relationship goes south. Because I've seen relationships get students off track, especially when they're distant. And it also can happen when you're on campus. And if you're going to be a remote learner, it can even be more dangerous because you're still within the same community because y'all went to high school together. But what I would do is have a confidant in place just in case. Okay? That's one example of how to make this work. Because a lot of students don't understand. Without this system in place, you would be surprised what impacts you from getting this A in biology. You would be surprised. Okay? Again, because I'm doing this online and it's real time and we're live, you can post your questions and I'll follow up and answer any questions that you have after the session. Okay? All right. Now, metacognition checklist. This is going to take up the rest of our time. So get pencil and paper if you haven't already. Okay? Metacognition may be a new term, but it's learning about learning, thinking about thinking. It's being in the moment. And sometimes we learn, but we really don't learn until after the semester. Sometimes we're learning in high school, but we really don't learn until we graduate from high school. Metacognition gives you the ability. It helps you practice thinking about thinking right now. Learning about learning right now. So we don't miss these moments, these learning opportunities, because we're waiting to process later. This allows us to process now. Okay? One of the key components, I'm not going to go through all of them, is be present in the moment. Just because you're at home and you're not in school, high school students and college, okay? Be present in the moment, okay? Some of the greatest training for academic folks is pretending you're in a classroom. You're at home at the kitchen table, but I want you to pretend that you're in a classroom and you're raising your hand and the professor and the teacher is asking a question and you know the answer to the question. I don't want you to get out of practice of what you do well. This is also a great opportunity for you to practice something you don't do well, because the peer pressure from your peers is not present. So now you can have that conversation out loud and not worry about what you sound like. Did it make sense? Why are people laughing? And so on and so on. You have eliminated that when you're at home. Be present in the moment. Too often, and I was guilty of this in undergrad for sure, you go to class, you get out in 50 minutes, and you have no idea what just happened these last 50 minutes. High school students, you can say the same. You were in class, you heard a voice teaching in the front of the class, but you look down at your notepad, you don't have a note, nothing's highlighted, you have no idea what just happened for the last hour. Be present in the moment. Stay engaged. Colleges love, love, love. Teachers, professors love an engaged student. Know when to say when. That applies academically. That applies socially. That applies to you mentally. That applies to you emotionally. That applies to you spiritually. Know when to say when. You have to know when enough is enough. You have to know when I need help. When I used to get my syllabus and look at it and be so overwhelmed that I would leave class and start finding out who can help me. Who can help me? Because I looked at the syllabus and there was just confusion on the syllabus. I didn't even understand the language, and the professor went over the syllabus and I still didn't get it. Perhaps you didn't come from a high school that prepared you for the college level. One scenario. Two, COVID-19 threw everybody out of the loop, which has allowed you to kind of disengage with school. This is the reason why I'm doing these sessions. I don't want you to miss out. I don't want you to be cheated because you're not in class or you had to stop going to school in the spring. So that one-on-one teaching with your professor or being in a classroom environment, being in an intellectual environment, it harmed you. I don't want you to go to college and be without. Because professors are still going to try to teach with rigor, and they expect their students to have some type of intellectual curiosity, okay? So when rigor meets intellectual curiosity is awesome. But when rigor meets numbness or sunken place, rigor will eat sunken place alive. Rigor will eat depression alive, okay? So I want to pull you up out of that. It's July. It's almost mid-July. I want to pull you out of that now. Okay? One more. Two more. Maximize your day. Maximize your day. We did last week a slide that had an example of a calendar. And when people hear in my teaching that you got to put in 30 to 35 hours, they're like, oh my goodness, that's a lot. That's a lot of hours. It's really not. Because if you get out of class at 1, before dinner, which may be at 6, there's a 5-hour window to be productive. See, we want to wait, and here's the bad habit of college. We wait until night to do our homework because that's what we came from in high school, because we went home during the day. Well, when you get to college, now you don't have classes all day. You have to take advantage of those daylight hours to get work done. Maximize your day. We go in the cafeteria, another example, all right? College students, they're so guilty of this. Eat for 15 minutes, but stay in the cafeteria for an hour and a half. Eating only took 15 minutes. Laughing, joking with friends led to an hour and a half. You could have read something. You could have did some vocabulary. You could have did some math problems or something like that. Maximize your day. I'm not saying eat and leave, but I'm saying eat and maybe give the group, the friends, 15 minutes. You got to have a circle that who are go-getters. Like, yo, we're going to go in here, we're going to grab something to eat, we're going to sit down, we're going to kiki and ha-ha, and then we're leaving. We're going to the library to get this work done before our next 2 o'clock class. Okay? If you're a remote learner and you're at home, it's going to be very easy to turn on the TV. It's going to be very easy to go in your bedroom and take a nap. No, you have to be obedient and disciplined. You have to set a schedule. And this is why next week, high school students, you got to tune in, because the presenter is going to present to you how the schedule works. And before you know it, at the end of the day, you've been productive. All your work is done. And guess what happened in the evening? We can get back to gaming. We can get back to texting. We can get back to TikTok or whatever else that the young people are doing. All right. Last thing, take a time out. Take a time out. Listen, build in breaks. I've said this every week. The problem with college students is that they have unplanned interruptions. They have a schedule. They've been disciplined enough to write down a schedule, made it color coordinated and coded up and everything. It's nice. It's laid out. But as soon as you get a text, hey, meet us at the Pizza Cafe. Guess what? That wasn't on the schedule. So what we do? We go. We abort our schedule to go hang out with friends. And we stayed 2.5 hours. We ate pizza for 15 minutes, but we stayed 2.5 hours. Why not be proactive and just schedule it? Just schedule it. That's the thing with time management in college. Some people can make the adjustments. Some people are mature enough and disciplined enough to say, I'm going to go hang out, then I'm leaving. But many of us, we stay too long. Instead of aborting our calendar and our schedule, just schedule the time out. I'm just going to put in place that I'm going to spend time with my friends. And then those moments, those pop-up moments, you got to say, hey, I'm going to have to miss y'all on this one. I'll catch you on the next one. You have to be strong enough to say that. Why? We have a goal. We have a goal. Nothing gets in the way with the goal. Okay? So that's just a few, but we're going to continue with metacognition. Again, if you have any questions, type them up. I'll reply after. Metacognition, some more stuff, all right? You want to be able to check some of these off, if not all of these, okay? When you read, this is being in the moment, right? This is thinking about thinking, learning about learning, right? I develop a plan before reading. No, most of us get the syllabus or get the homework assignment from high school, and it says read 2 chapters. That's what we do, read 2 chapters. Well, some of us can read and comprehend very well, but a lot of us need to take notes. So what I suggest to you is to make a note template. Important facts, important dates, things I need to know, important events. You read 2 chapters, depending on the subject, you have to develop a template that will help you take notes. Okay? Number 2, and hopefully at the end of this, you'll be able to check these things off. I evaluate my thoughts after reading. Hey, what is it that we do? It's a tendency by everyone. It's a poor habit. We read and we close the book. If we took notes, we close the notebook. There's no evaluation of what I just read. None. And then you like, wow, I finished reading. You go to class and the professor started talking about the reading and you have no idea Because there was no processing. There was no learning in the moment. There was no thinking about thinking. There was no learning about learning. There was no now presence in your reading. Planning. Let's skip the planning. You have your class schedule, high school or college, remote learner or in class in person. Doesn't matter. You have to spend some time thinking about the subject of the class. This is a great pre-workout before you get in the classroom. I've thought about this class. I've researched this class. It's at the tip of my fingers because I have a phone. And I look this class up. And I look at a syllabus that's online. And I look at possible assignments that somebody has posted online. And guess what? I become familiar with my class. Guess what now? I can better prepare because I'm planning on what is going to take place in my class. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to do that homework. Listen, let me talk to the athletes real quick. Before you start a season, coaches give you plays, and you're taught to study those plays. Well, you study those plays before you're asked to perform them on the court or on the field for execution. So coach expects that you come to practice familiar with the plays. And the people that get some of the best shots in athletics are the people when the coach say, run Denver, we're running a play called Denver, and you have received Denver a week ago, he wants to see or she wants to see who can come on the court and run the play Denver. If we can take that posture and that position in athletics, why not to stimulate our mind would we not take the same approach? Student athletes, listen, the transferable skills from your sport to the classroom is an easy one because sports prepare you for so many disciplines in the classroom. Those who are not playing sports, you can still adopt these principles and apply them to your own learning. I'm going to stay with student athletes in terms of planning. I search for problems and solutions. That's crazy. Why would you search for problems and solutions when it comes to your class? Why would you do that for biology? Why would you do that for math? Why would you take yourself through that? Here's what student athletes do. And student athletes, I know you can agree. When we watch film or study plays or we have information on our opponent, we study their tendencies. We're looking for bad habits. We're looking for solutions. We're looking for what people do well. We're looking for what people do not do well. Same thing with academic planning. You're looking for problems and solutions. You learn how to study, especially if you were like me. I was so sports oriented mentally that I learned if I apply some of those things from football over into my academics, it'll ease my transition in getting a better grade. I was fighting against myself trying to be something I was not. Instead, I just needed to make a correlation with something I love and I was interested in and I knew how to do already and pair that up with something I didn't know how to do. But I found out I really do know how to do it. I'm just doing it for football. Now I need to do it for academics. This is an easy solve, y'all. Let's not put a lot of weight to it. Let's go through some more metacognition things. Learning. I recognize when my mind begins to wander. Listen, I used to daydream a lot. And I can go for like 15, 20 minutes and then come back and like, yo, what happened in class? What class over? I missed that. Okay? You could be taking a test. You could be writing a paper. But you have to train your brain. Listen, I need the best you. That's why we got to get rest. That's why we have to eat right. That's why we have to exercise. Hey, mind, body, frame, arms, hands, eyes, focus, concentration. I need you to be your best right now because I have a tendency to drift off. I have a tendency to drift off. But here's the beauty, and when you're doing metacognition work, you realize that you do it and you're able to catch yourself. It's such an internal reflection of who you are, an internal examination of who you are, an internal, at the end, exposure. Don't be afraid to expose who you really are. I daydream. I lose focus. I can't concentrate. I begin to wonder. My mind wanders off somewhere. This is what, when it comes to learning, we learn how to detach. And it's not always a medication issue. There are some that require medication, but it's not always a medication issue. Here's how I know. If I gave you your phone and you were watching videos or posting something, you don't drift off. You're all in. If you're learning a rap song, word for word, lyric for lyric, verbatim, you don't need no help doing that. But when it comes to writing a paper, your mind can't put together the energy and the concentration to do it. Why? Because we've practiced all summer focusing on distractions or only paying attention to those things we love and enjoy. All right? I got to move along. Okay? Metacognition, when it comes to evaluating, you have to realize your strengths and weaknesses when it comes to evaluating yourself. In the moment, thinking about thinking, learning about learning, evaluating. I am a more effective student when I take notes. Yes. And that's okay. Because that means this. When I hear a professor, I take notes. When I read, I take notes. When I'm in a group discussion, I take notes. When I'm talking to someone and they give me some dates and times, we're going to meet here at this time, etc. As you're walking away, flip over the notes section of your phone, take a note. If you're a more effective student, if you're more engaged, why try to impress your peers and say, I got it? No, take a note. It's okay. It's a great discipline and a great practice. Okay? I am most effective in studying when I highlight. Now remember, in the book, these are just examples out of the book. In the book, there's a whole list of things, okay? I am most effective in studying when I highlight. I'm not a highlight person. Not at all. For whatever reason, I like my books not even to be really marked up. I'd rather take notes. If you're a highlight person, highlight. Color code, do it. Don't do it because it's pretty. Do it because it means something to you. Okay? But this is kind of evaluating how you learn and how you learn in the moment to keep yourself engaged, to keep yourself thinking about thinking. It's a great exercise to keep your brain and your mind turning while you learn. All right? And this is great because it's going to help you with your recall when it comes to tests, okay, or engagement in classroom. When a professor walks in and say, last week I talked about blah, 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 you can respond to that because you've built in this recall system and because you've rehearsed it and you know the verse, all right? Again, a lot of people drive and hear songs and sing songs and they know the lyrics of a lot of songs. There's no way or no reason why you can't regurgitate what a professor or teacher has told you. This is something you do well already. Something you do really well. Just bring it in the classroom. Bring the hip hop in the classroom. Bring the R&B in the classroom. Know the lyrics of the professor. Know the angle and the craft of the professor. That's a beautiful thing. In hip hop, there's so many rhythms of how people flow. You have to learn the craft of your professor, your teacher, tendencies, the rhythm, behaviors, when he or she issue tests, what's important when they speak. But you got to be an engaged student and really examine and break down your professor to understand this. You do it in music. Bring it now to the classroom. All right? That's going to wrap us up tonight. A lot of information on metacognition, a lot of information on goal setting. Listen, it's mid-July. Some people are starting school August 10th, August 17th. Okay? We have a few more weeks. I want you to be ready, whether you're a remote learner or you're in person on site. Those who are in this session, it shouldn't matter because you're prepared for whatever they present to you. We don't control COVID. We're at the mercy of it right now. So we're waiting for our governors and our leaders to make decisions, so our universities, and to see how our colleges and high schools and middle schools are going to be impacted. Guess what? I'm preparing you right now to say it doesn't matter. Whatever the call is going to be, I am ready. I'm a better student because I spent these 6 weeks with Dr. Leon, and he has helped me tremendously understand more about me, my strengths, and underdevelopments. We don't use weaknesses. We use underdevelopments. That's more positive, that we got some more developing to do. Weakness has such a heavy burden and weight to it. It's almost like I can't defeat it or I can't come out of it. You have an underdevelopment, which means we can still develop it. So I want us to be positive. I want us to be strong. I want you to be encouraged. You're a great student. These are just some thoughts that's going to help you at the college level as well as the high school level. Speaking of high school, I can't stress this more. If you're a high school student, we're going to lay out some practices for students as well as student athletes on how to navigate this world that we're living in right now. Okay? Next Sunday, 6 o'clock, geared directly for high school students. It's going to be awesome. And I want you to be ready because it's a fun exercise, and I believe you're going to learn a lot, and you're going to be able to use these things, especially if you're going to be a remote learner this fall within the next coming weeks. Again, Dr. Williams, hit me up. All right, let's talk. Let's get you on the right track. Most importantly, let's get ready for school. Okay, let's start changing our gears. Let's start doing good habits at home. Okay. Let's start preparing to be a college student now. You don't wait till you get to college to be a college student. You practice these things now. Cleaning up your room. Here's one of the things I tell my kids. Listen, be a good college roommate now. I need you to be a good college roommate now. Pick up behind yourself. Clean up your room. Do your chores. No one's going to be there to tell you all this stuff. Be a good college roommate now. Be a good college student right now. Don't wait. Don't wait. Why not now? Why not now? Let's do it, y'all. I'm behind you. I'm here to help you. All right? Take care of yourself. God bless.